Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a fascinating turn.
Mm-hmm. Instead of, the usual complex reports or models, we're diving deep into a single source. Lyrics. Specifically, lyrics by Alison McLean titled, "We're Playing to Play." Yeah, it's concise but surprisingly dense with ideas.
Exactly. And our mission today is to really unpack these lyrics, not just as art, but almost like a philosophical blueprint, a kind of manual for living with non-attachment and constant movement.
Right, and that central idea is right there repeated. We're playing to play. It feels like it radically redefines effort, shifting purpose away from some external goal.
To an internal loop, yeah, it's self-sustaining.
Okay.
And what strikes me is how the structure immediately forces that shift.
Yeah.
By saying the objective is the action playing to play, it cancels out all the usual ways we measure success, doesn't it?
Like winning or getting approval or making money. Exactly. All that stuff. And that immediately opens up this psychological freedom. You're not focused on the end, but on the quality of the process itself.
Okay, so let's unpack that process then. If we accept this idea, playing for the sake of playing, what are the sort of foundational instructions here? The lyrics anchor it all in the smallest unit of time, moment by moment, every day. That moment-by-moment focus is, I think, the core discipline. It's almost like cognitive training.
How so?
Well, think about it. We live in a pretty goal-obsessed world, right? Our minds are always jumping ahead, worrying about what might go wrong.
Yeah, creating anxiety.
Totally. This philosophy just pulls the focus right back to the now. It's about continuous daily presence. The play state keeps going because you're engaged with this step, not stressing about the 100 steps you haven't taken yet. Okay, so it's not just a passive mental state. It requires active engagement. The lyrics seem to put it into motion with these really specific commands. Take small steps every day and create movement in our play. It feels like it connects those tiny actions, the small steps, directly to the big philosophy.
Precisely. The philosophy gives you the why playing to play, and these commands give you the how.
Okay.
It's a mechanism for constant movement. It stops you from getting stuck. If you look at really productive, creative people, they don't just sit around waiting for inspiration.
All right, they show up.
They show up, they take small steps, they create movement. It's the total opposite of, analysis paralysis.
I like that framing, a manual for overcoming paralysis. But, okay, if we're constantly moving, we also have to react to things, right?
Yeah.
The next part of the lyrics seems to suggest that even while we create movement, we also kind of have to surrender control sometimes.
Yeah, that's the really interesting duality, isn't it? Active participation, but also this deep receptivity. This is where the concept of flow state really comes in.
The psychological concept.
Yeah. The instruction is to ride a wave as long as we can. The wave is like the external challenge or opportunity. The play is the focused effort you need to stay on it.
Riding the wave. That sounds exactly like Csikszentmihalyi's idea of flow, being totally absorbed in something that matches your skill level. You didn't build the wave, you're just engaging with its energy. But here's the critical bit, maybe. If we're just riding the wave, that means we're not fully in command of the outcome anymore. Is that where the real freedom kicks in? I think it is. And it's maybe the most powerful instruction in the whole piece. The payoff is explicitly stated as total freedom. We are free to play and explore without attachment to anything more.
Okay. And that's not just, feel-good language. It's a profound psychological shift. Non-attachment here means taking your ego, your self-worth, out of the success equation.
But hold on, I think people might struggle with that. In the real world, you need attachment, don't you? If I'm working on a huge project or saving for something big, non-attachment sounds like apathy. Or just irresponsible. If I'm not attached to the outcome, why would I push for excellence?
That's a really fair challenge, and it's crucial. Non-attachment in this context doesn't mean indifference, doesn't mean you don't care.
Okay.
It means freedom from the anxiety about the outcome. See, when we're too attached, we start optimizing for ego preservation, meaning we avoid risks, we hide mistakes, we worry about what people think. But if you adopt this playing-to-play mindset, you optimize for learning, for gathering data.
So removing that emotional weight, that fear of failure tied to the result, actually lets you take more risks, explore more deeply.
Absolutely. If there's no pressure to succeed in the conventional sense and no real fear of failure, the field for experimentation just blows wide open.
Okay. You try weirder things. You bounce back faster when something doesn't work. You just keep moving. And here's the kicker. In that free space, the lyrics say, here, inspiration knocks with a bigger plan.
So the inspiration isn't the starting point.
No, it's the reward. It's the unexpected, often better result that emerges because you let yourself play freely. The process generated the outcome, not the other way around.
Yeah.
That's a really neat mechanism. The play state actually generates the inspiration. But let me stick with my skepticism for a second. This path of constant movement, riding waves, it's not always going to be easy, right? What happens when the wave is just huge or scary? When playing stops feeling like fun and starts feeling genuinely hard.
Yeah, the philosophy has to account for that, for resistance, hardship, fear. Otherwise, like you hinted, it's just spiritual bypassing, ignoring the tough stuff. And the lyrics tackle this directly with some really strong imagery, actually. We're told to play in the dark where the shadows lurk.
So encountering difficulty isn't a sign something's wrong with the play.
No, it's just the next level of the game. It's part of it.
Okay, it mandates engaging with difficulty. But the question is how? Our usual reaction to darkness or shadows is, fear or getting defensive. And the philosophy prescribes something different, a non-defensive response with a little bit of cognitive reframing baked in. Greet it with a smile, a gentle smirk, gentle smirk.
Yeah, that's critical. You don't have to love the shadow or the difficulty, but you're asked to see it not as some personal failure or an absolute roadblock, but more like, well, like a neutral data point. Or maybe even a darkly funny twist in the plot of life.
So the smirk implies awareness, maybe a bit of irreverence. You see the challenge, you acknowledge it's serious, but you refuse to let it stop the game or destroy the play state.
Precisely. It takes the sting out of failure because you've already reframed the challenge as just part of the contemplation. The lyrics actually call it a variation in life's contemplation.
Variation. I like that.
It's just another element in this moment-to-moment existence. It's necessary for growth, actually. If you only play where it's light and easy, you never learn how to handle complexity.
Right? That makes sense. So the philosophy demands action. It grants freedom through non-attachment. It requires engaging with difficulty. And then it all comes together in this final, really radical acceptance. It seems to neutralize external judgment completely.
Yes. That powerful closing statement. Imperfection is perfection. This isn't just a catchy motto. It's the core idea that validates the whole approach. How so?
Well, if you follow the steps, take the small steps, ride the waves, greet the shadows with that smirk, then the result, whatever it turns out to be, is fundamentally perfect because it's the honest outcome of the process you committed to playing.
Okay, I have to push back one more time here, though. If imperfection is perfection, doesn't that lead to complacency? If my goal is to, say, learn Spanish, and I just accept my terrible grammar as perfect, where's the motivation to actually get better? Doesn't this just endorse mediocrity?
Yeah. That's probably the #1 misunderstanding of this kind of mindset. The framework isn't saying the output, your Spanish grammar, is perfect in the usual sense.
It's arguing that the moment of trying, the effort you put in right then, that is perfect. And paradoxically, if you remove the pressure for your Spanish to be perfect right now, you actually learn faster.
How does that work?
Because mistakes stop being threats to your ego. They just become information.
Data points again.
Exactly. If you're learning guitar, you hit a wrong note. If you greet that with a gentle smirk instead of shame, you don't stop playing. You just note the error, the variation, and you keep going. The perfection is in accepting the reality of this moment, which is the fastest way to get to the next moment, maybe the one where you hit the right note. Pressure for perfection often paralyzes us. Accepting imperfection keeps the play going.
Wow. Okay. That reframes it completely.
Sure.
The goal isn't necessarily be a perfect guitarist. The goal is to keep playing the guitar, and every note, good or bad, is just proof the process is alive and well.
You got it.
So summarizing this whole thing, it's an incredible blueprint. It moves from needing continuous action through the freedom that comes from letting go of results right into this final state of total acceptance. It feels like a complete philosophical safe harbor. It really does feel like that. So for you listening, what Alison McLean's lyrics offer is this potent guide built on maybe 3 core pillars, focusing on the process above the outcome, finding freedom through, radical non-attachment, and cultivating acceptance of everything that happens, good or bad, is just necessary data.
Yeah, it basically gives you permission to stop chasing external validation and just focus on the inherent value, maybe even joy of whatever you're doing right now.
It's pretty remarkable how a few lines of lyrics can lay out such a cohesive, usable structure for navigating daily life, especially the high-stakes stuff, without internalizing all that stress.
Indeed. Which leads to maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
If you really, truly embraced this idea that imperfection is perfection and that the real goal is just to play,
What's the biggest, maybe scariest, most difficult thing you've been avoiding? You know, the thing where the stakes feel way too high that you would actually attempt today, just for the sake of the play itself.